We're looking at an awful lot of wet weather. Of course, the ground is saturated already, so any further rain is likely to cause flooding. And the wind direction means we're seeing quite the strongest rainfall, the heaviest rainfall over the hills, which then, of course, starts to run down, and that adds to the flood problems.
Let's get the latest, though, from the meteorologist, Jo Wheeler. Jo, good afternoon.
Hello there.
Storm Chandra, then. Tell us where it has hit and who it's hit the hardest.
Well, it came in from the southwest, and like the previous storm a short while ago, it developed as it travelled. So it crossed the jet stream and exited as a very powerful storm. Now, it's given a lot of rain, obviously, some places seeing 2 inches or more. It's given some very strong winds, those winds gusting at times up to around 70 miles per hour. And you heard on the news there about the school closures for parts of Northern Ireland and the fact there's been some flooding. Now, many people in central and eastern parts of the country will be saying, what on earth is all the fuss about? Not much going on here. Now, it's a very interesting setup, which is going to affect us in the future because we've got high pressure over Scandinavia. So that's stopping the rain going any further. Usually we'd expect a storm like this to come in and then cross the country and then disappear off towards Norway and Sweden. This one, not so. It's being repelled by this high pressure. So in fact, we'll see the storm leave the eastern side of the country, but then it pushes back up towards the northwest. And herein lies the problem, that over the coming days we'll see further systems coming in from the southwest, all following that same track and all bringing further rain. And some parts of the country down in the southwest have seen something like 150% of their rainfall for winter. So we're looking at an awful lot of wet weather. Of course, the ground is saturated already, so any further rain is likely to cause flooding. And the wind direction means we're seeing quite the strongest rainfall, the heaviest rainfall over the hills, which then, of course, starts to run down, and that adds to the flood problems. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet. Interestingly as well, we've got cold air up towards the north and the east. And to give you some idea of how rapidly those temperatures fall across the country, parts of North Wales have got temperatures today of 12 degrees Celsius. But in Leek, in Derbyshire, not that far away, temperatures are just 4. And that's the same across the north and the east. And that's why we've seen this rain, as it's travelled its way northwards, give some snow over the higher ground. So it affected the South Pennines earlier today. Now the North Pennines, much of Scotland is seeing snow. Virtually anywhere where you get high ground, this is likely to fall as snow rather than rain. So it has been another multi-hazard event. But obviously the southwestern areas are those hit hardest.
Yeah, it sounds as though the conditions mean flooding is going to then be exacerbated in the next few days.
It will. Yeah, that is the problem with flooding. It's not always just what falls out of the sky at the time. Obviously, you get bad driving conditions with a lot of surface water and spray. But then when you start to get the runoff, that's when it starts to go into the rivers. It tries to go into the land, finds it can't. It collects in areas. Then, of course, eventually it makes its way down to the rivers and, any watercourse, really, that it needs to dissipate.
When is the let-up in the weather, which means conditions might improve?
Well, that is the problem. This blocking high over Scandinavia doesn't seem to move very much, which means we will continue to see systems coming in from the Atlantic, most likely taking that southwestern course. It runs into the high pressure and gets deflected back out into the Atlantic. So until that blocking high goes, can't really see much changing.
This storm is Storm Chandra. We've just had Storm Garvey. This is sort of some non-serious storm-related question, Jo. I thought storms were named alphabetically.
They are. They are. I can't think why you're wondering this. Right, Garvey was named by, it was either the Portuguese or the Spanish, on the basis that the storm hit them hardest. It was explained to me by my colleague that said the people that get to name the storm are those that blink first. And on that occasion, that was them. We've also got Storm Harry, which is over central parts of the Mediterranean. Massive fund has just been pledged for the clean-up operation there. That's been devastating. Again, not our storm. This one is. So this one, Chandra, is C. The next one will begin with D for us. But yeah, naming the storms was supposed to make it simpler. And it doesn't when we start taking on board everybody else's storms. And of course, they've all got different names.
Yeah, Jo, I heard a theory, I don't know if you've heard anything similar, that actually a storm is potentially more dangerous if it is given a female name because people don't take it as seriously.
I haven't heard that, but I can believe it.
Or with hurricanes as well. Hurricane Katrina doesn't sound as terrible as, say, I don't know, I don't want to pick a Storm Boris. Let's say,
Yeah,
or
there was a
Ivan.
Hurricane
Yeah, exactly.
Ivan, wasn't there?
Yeah, exactly. A theory for you to investigate maybe for next time. Jo, thank you very much. Jo Wheeler, the meteorologist at Square Raindrop. Away from the humour to actually really what has been quite serious, if you are stuck in the midst of this, listening to that conversation is Councillor Vicky Johns, the Mayor of Ottery St Mary Town Council, who joins us. Vicky, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I am well. I'm sure better than you are today. Can you just introduce us to anyone who doesn't know to Ottery and tell us about this place and the impact over the last couple of days?
So Ottery St Mary is a small town in East Devon, not too far from Exeter. Famous for its tar barrels, its flaming tar barrels, internationally famous for its tar barrels, and an absolutely fantastic town with a wonderful community, which has sadly, particularly over the last 12, 15 hours, been affected by the recent rains that we've been having, for want of a better phrase. We've had lots of localised flooding, closing off a lot of the roads and sadly affecting some of the properties as well and the residents.
How best were you able to prepare for this?
So the Environment Agency will send out a warning to those that are registered, advising them. The Town Council put it up on their website and on their pages, etc. The District Council does the same, warning people. And to be honest with you, the majority of people that live near the river are aware that if it's been raining for a period of time or it's exceptionally heavy rain, but you can only prepare so much. And if you're one of those people that unfortunately lives within that area, and this was probably, we've been advised that it's been the highest water level for a number of years, probably since about 2000, maybe 2008. So a lot of properties that wouldn't have been affected previously have been affected this time, sadly. And as I said, one of the biggest issues is that the roads getting in and out of the towns, and Ottery Parish covers places like Ottery St Mary, Tipton, Fenny Bridges, etc.
And what are the current state of those properties that have been affected?
So I'm aware of a few properties in Fenny Bridges that have been affected, that unfortunately the residents woke up in the middle of the night, early hours of the morning, came downstairs to find that their downstairs was underwater. And anybody that's ever been flooded is aware that it's not clean water, unfortunately, that comes through the properties. I'm also aware of numerous properties in Tipton that have been affected. And obviously the cleanup, unfortunately, it's one of those things that once you start cleaning up, you have to wait for the water to subside before you can actually start doing anything. Then you have to get dehumidifiers in. It's a long, drawn-out process.
And presumably that can't start yet.
No, not until everything's stopped. And even then, once the water's gone back down, we are actually due more rain this evening and over the next couple of days. So obviously that's going to make people very anxious and very on edge. And the unfortunate thing with something like flooding is also the mental trauma that people go through, because even once you've cleared it all, the insurance has paid out, you've managed to get things back to normal. Every time it rains again, you have that foreboding at the back of your mind that the same thing could happen again.
Yeah, and we know that Ottery St Mary's primary school has had to close, like many others across the country, several hundred actually in Northern Ireland. What provisions is happening there for those children?
So my understanding is, and I'm very grateful to the head teachers of all the local schools that made the decision very early this morning to close their doors, not just for the safety of their pupils, but also for the safety of the teachers and the staff getting to and from. Because it's all right to turn around and say, well, you know what people are like. They go, oh, in the UK, they close because there's a couple of drops of rain. But actually, the safety of getting staff and pupils and the parents to and from these locations, bearing in mind that we are a rural town, should always be utmost and paramount in the head teachers' minds. And again, they've proven that is exactly how they do these things. That's how they perceive it. They closed the schools as soon as they could to keep everybody safe. I've been downtown into Ottery today, and there's a lot of children enjoying having a little bit more family time with their parents, because obviously the parents, children are supposed to be at school, so they've had to take time off their busy schedules, etc., to look after the children during the day. Looking at the river, etc., from a safe distance. I will put that from a safe distance. But yeah, I'm very grateful to the schools for closing very promptly this morning and advising people not to travel. Devon and Cornwall Police have been advising people not to travel unless it's absolutely essential, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Devon has the largest stretch of road network in the UK. And unfortunately, that means that we also have the largest amount of potholes in the UK. And if they're underwater, you've got no chance of seeing them.
Yeah, of course. So many different things to be worried about. What kind of support then? If you are one of those residents who found your ground floor underwater, what support is there for them?
So obviously the first port of call is that they need to make sure that they're safe, that all the electrics are turned off, the gas is turned off, anything personal that, is taken out of that area. And then obviously they can get in touch with the local district council, which I'm also a member of, the local district council. They can get in touch with them to see what assistance can be provided by the district council. If there was an incident, for example, certain places they have where they need to be evacuated. I'm sure that you heard last week there was a bomb in Exmouth, a World War II bomb in Exmouth, and lots of places were evacuated. East Devon District Council put forward an emergency plan where if people have to be evacuated for any particular reason, that plan is then put into play. They had that in Exmouth last week. We haven't needed it for Ottery yet, but obviously that depends on how much rain we get in the next couple of days. But if something like that happened, that plan would be put into place. East Devon District Council liaise with the police, etc., and the town council and numerous volunteers, and that sort of thing's put into play. And obviously people would be advised of that.
And we will be sending as many well wishes as we possibly can. Vicky, thank you, Councillor Vicky Johns, the Mayor of Ottery St Mary Town Council, on really how everyone is having to rally together after that horrible anxiety, and more anxiety on the way, as Joe told us earlier, more rain is forecast.
And you will hear all of that throughout the evening and the night on Times Radio.